Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. This is my very first build video, so welcome. My name's Starving Artist, and this build is really a vet dungeon, small group, and solo character, Magicka Necromancer. It is currently gray mode, but this build will definitely be viable for the next patch. So if you're looking for a themed Magicka Necromancer that can heal and do DPS, then stick around because this build is for you. Let's jump into the character sheet. And if you have any questions about anything in the video or you have comments, please leave it in the comment section below. If you liked the video and you would like to see more, please think about subscribing and giving me a like. I am a Dark Elf. I like Dark Elf for its passives. We'll talk about those in a second. All points into Magicka. I am running the Atronach and Witch Mothers. This build is extremely flexible, so feel free to make adjustments to any of these things based on your playstyle and your needs. All of these things are set up because this is the way I like to use it. This is what works for me. It doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect for you. So feel free to swap things around as you need to. Foods. Another alternative food here is Frothgar. You can use Clockwork Citrus Fillet. Really, any food that you would like to use to get your stats where you want them for you. Feel free to swap it out. I have enough recovery that I don't really need pots that often, so honestly, trash pots work just fine. Front bar, I am running a specialty staff, the Asylum staff, which comes from the Asylum trial. You can do it on Norm if you would like to get this staff, but you do not have to use this staff. I'm using a lightning staff. A Inferno staff will work just as well. Trait does not really matter that much. I would recommend a shock glyph, but honestly, any glyph that you want to run, it's completely up to you. What this staff does is basically, we'll see in the skills, my spammable, guaranteed to burn a status effect, or to apply a status effect. And this item set is getting buffed next patch, so if you can get your hands on one, cool. If not, you can either use any staff with a 2 bonus that you like, or a willpower staff will work, or if you want to run our back bar set on both bars, you can just craft another staff for here. And that set is Cold Harbors. I like this set because it gives me a little bit of stam there. It gives me spell damage, it gives me Magicka, and it kind of sticks a little bit to the theme of having something summoned. We get this cool little Guar that pops out of the ground and gives us this 13k heal over 4 seconds. So it is an effective set. There are better healing sets out there, but I went with this set because it kind of plays along with the theme of Necromancer. Monster set, Bogdan. Chokethorn is also a good monster set. Healing, if you want to stick with another summon of some sort. These both kind of summon. Here the totem falls out of the sky versus Chokethorn comes out of the ground. Both are good heals, and this has a 20% chance, which is really nice. Actually, I think I might have, nope, no Chokethorn. I think Chokethorn is like 15%. So that's a nice percentage. This does proc fairly often. All divines, all glyph with whatever glyphs you need. If you want to get a little bit more stats, I would run 5 light, 1 heavy, and 1 medium. I just happen to have another medium, so that's what I'm running. Then our next 5-piece set is spinners. What I like about spinners is if you are solo, you're getting a little bit extra penetration, which for world bosses you're going to want that extra little bit. It's really nice. You can get it from the lover, so honestly, if you wanted to just swap this set out for something else, feel free, and you can run the lover. But then that extra little spell penetration does come in handy. It also comes in handy if you do pug, and I pug a lot, and if you get an inexperienced tank that can't debuff everything, this is nice to, kill those targets a little bit quicker that haven't been debuffed all the way by the tank. Then we were Coldheart's favorite: gloves, spinner's pants, Coldharbor's feet, and then spinner's jewelry, all Magicka recovery, all arcane. Feel free to swap these glyphs out too if you want more spell damage, or you could change the trait to infused. Run these really any way you want. It's not going to make a massive difference, but the extra recovery is necessary because I am running a damage set on the front. I wanted as much recovery as I could get, so when I am putting a lot of heals down and I have to spam a lot of abilities back to back, the extra recovery is really nice. Skills: back bar, summoner's armor. Here's our resistance buff, and the other thing it does is it creates a corpse, which as a necromancer we need. So I recommend this, as well as it giving you some passives that we'll talk about here in a second that make this a very good skill. Alternatively, you could run Dampen Magic or Harness from the light armor skill line. Up to you. There are occasions that I will run this. Next is Rapid Regen from Restoration. Second skill. I recommend this morph because it does more than one target. If you don't want to use this skill, I would morph Blessing of Protection into Combat Prayer, which will give you 8% more damage. Next, Remote Totem. Now Remote Totem and Summoner's Armor both come from Bone Tyrant. And we get a bit of healing received, health, and dot mitigation through this skill tree, plus a little bit of Magicka and stamina recovery. So take all those passives. Then we've got Renewing Undeath, which is the third skill down here. And what I like about this specific morph is that when I do have corpses on the ground, I can remove up to 3 negative effects and get a little bit of a hot with this ability. So if there's content that is maybe dot heavy or you have negative effects on you, you can use this to cleanse yourself and your group. Very useful. Then we've got our passives. Go ahead and take all those. Finally is Healing Springs. This also comes from the Restoration Staff skill line. Feel free to take whichever morph of the base skill you would like. I like this one because you do get some Magicka back every time one of my teammates is healed. Then for our ultimate is a flex spot, up to you. You could run Psijic ultimate, you could run Restoration Staff. Alternatively, you could run Barrier from support. So you can jump in a group or do some BGs, get support up to 6, use this skill, and if you purchase these 2 passive nodes, you get 10% Magicka recovery just for having that ability slotted. So another good alternative. Front bar, orbs, pretty much a necessity these days, regardless of role. That's going to come from Undaunted. One morph does damage, the other morph does healing. This morph is the healing morph. It's a nice hot. It's pretty slow. What's nice is you can move around with it and just keep getting healing. Unnerving Boneyard is next. We get that from Gravelord. I believe the other morph is a stamina morph. If I am not correct, you can say so down below. This does a couple of things. It's a nice dot, but it also debuffs the enemy by 50-80. So with spinners and this skill, I'm getting quite a bit of penetration that will be necessary if you're doing any kind of solo content or world bosses, because you don't have a tank with you. So you really want this skill. And if it consumes a corpse when you cast it, you do 50% more damage. And if an ally activates the synergy, you get another burst of 11k frost damage, which heals me for the amount of damage done. Passives, take all of them. See, we have having Gravelord ability slotted will help our critical strike chance, which is what we want when we're on our front bar, because we only have 1 bar of damage, so we want to maximize that damage. Penetration, and our dot damage is increased. So we have 2 dots on the front bar. Next, Intensive Mender. This heal isn't awesome, but it does count as a corpse. So I usually will go into a fight with this already summoned, so it comes with me. And then when it does die, I already have my buff on here, so there's its corpse. And then now I just removed 3 negative effects. That's one of the main reasons why I run that. It's also a decent oh crap heal if you see someone just take a huge hit and you happen to be on the front bar. So if I'm sitting here damaging, and then one of my team members takes a hit, I can just pop this real quick, which will give me enough time to go to my other bar and throw down a heal if I need to. And this comes from Living Death. So renewing Undeath and Intensive Mender work hand in hand. That's why I like to use both of them. Then we have our Spammable. Now the main reason I use this is because it is an interrupt. And a lot of times if the tank or anybody in the group, I would say one thing that people don't do a lot of the time in this game is interrupt. There are a lot of things that can be interrupted, and there are a lot of things that need to be interrupted, and I think that's one of the things that gets missed by most players in the game until they learn what is interruptible. So using this as the Spammable, if I know that an enemy is potentially going to do an interruptible ability, I can already be using this, damaging them, and then when they go for that ability, I'm going to interrupt them, I'm going to set them off balance, and they're going to be stunned unless they are immune to that stun. Some bosses you can't. There's bosses that cannot be stunned, but they can be set off balance. And this comes from our Destruction Staff skill line. Take all the passives. Here's our Shock Staff heavy attacks, damage nearby enemies for 100% of the damage done. So this is great because for the most part, if you are pugging or you're in any group and there's more than one enemy, I want AoE. So the other nice thing about this is it's a little bit easier and faster to get resources back with this, a lightning staff, than it is a flame staff. Pen, status effects. So this, in conjunction with crushing, is going to increase that chance. And all of our AoE is buffed by 8%. And Magicka recovery when we kill an enemy. And we're using 2 skills from this skill line, the other one being Blockade. Either morph will work. I like this one because it lasts so long, so it gives me time to use other skills or squeeze a heal in or rebuff or whatever. Just gives me more time to do things. So either morph, completely up to you. And Blockade of Storm sets concussed enemies off balance. So I'm using a Shock Staff with a Shock Glyph, and I'm using Blockade of Storms all of this is going to increase the chance that I set enemies off balance, which means they're going to take more damage. And with this setup, enemies will be off balance and feared and slowed, and so they go down extremely quickly. And then front bar ultimate, we have Colossus, probably, if not the best ultimate in the game, very close to being the best. Not only does Hulk come out and smash, but the damage applies major vulnerability, which means they're going to get 30% more damage taken for 8 seconds. So this ultimate is great. I would not run any other ultimate here. If for whatever reason you do not like this ultimate, if you are that person, then run the Destruction Staff. Or, if you want to be a true summoner that has even more summons, you could be a Vamp, or you could do Bone Goliath. All of those things would work. But honestly, I would only flex the back bar ultimate for something other than Goliath. And we did talk about Dark Elf. You do take a little bit less damage from lava, so places that are fire heavy, this is nice. City of Ash 2. A little bit more stamina and Magicka. Flame resistance. And spell damage. So it's a good all-around race for this particular build. I would say if you wanted to go more damage, I would recommend High Elf, Altimer. Or if you want more sustain, Breton, an Argonian would work, a Khajiit would work. Really, any race will work for this. Even the stamina races would work. However, you're not going to get the damage results that you do with either a Dark Elf or High Elf, or even a Khajiit, so I would probably stick with those three first in terms of damage output, and kind of for Dark Elf and Khajiit, if you're kind of a more hybrid-ish type build, I would recommend those two races. And last but not least, champ points. I am no expert on champion points. These have worked for me. There are millions of guides on YouTube about setting up champion points. Feel free to look at those. This is what I've got. I do like to roll and block. I have gone fairly heavy into Hardy, Elemental Defender, and Thick-Skinned. You can redistribute or distribute these somewhere else if you would like. I personally would probably put more into Light Armor and Spell Shield, or into Bastion. And I think that about wraps up the video. If you guys have any questions or comments, if you liked the video, like I said, give me a like. Let me know how I did. Try the build out, see if you like it. And thanks for stopping by. We'll see you in the next video.